Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm just glad you're here. Today, we are going to take the TSPROF Pioneer here, and we are going to sharpen a buddy who has sent in a knife to get it sharpened up. It's been used, pretty dull. Got an interesting little plunge grind termination here where we'll start sharpening it about right there. Wants it at 19 degrees, so we'll set the angle on it, get it ready, and just go from there. I figured I would try to do it on camera to show you guys how I use the TSPROF Pioneer and how easy it makes my, I guess you'd say, lack of freehand sharpening skill, ability, practice, whatever. I don't freehand sharpen, but I do like to sharpen my knives and keep them sharp. And this Pioneer has been absolutely awesome. So the first thing I do is I tape it off, even though I don't need to. I've got some captain's tape on the clamps themselves, but I like to go extra careful. Then I get it where it's clamped in this little TSPROF driver. I don't want it to squeeze the guts out of it, but I do want it in there tight. So once I get it in there, I've got this little TSPROF axis cube here. So what I do is I set it right here to get it zeroed out. Whoops. All right, so it's zeroed out now. So then what I want to do is I want to put my first abrasive on here like so, right? And then I'm going to lay it right in its position, and I'm going to find 19 degrees. Just dialing it back. Dialing it back up because it settles. Trying to lock it in there to 19. Got it locked into 19 degrees. Going back to 18 now. Let's see what it does. It's roughly 19 degrees by our axis cube. So now we've got our angle set. Turn off our TSPROF over here, our little axle cube. Get our feet good and splayed out. And I'm going to slowly, first thing I want to do is get a rag. And I'll put some alcohol on the rag, get it kind of soaked so I can wipe that blade down to keep grit from getting there, or minimize my grit that's going to get on the blade. So I'm just letting the weight of the stone kind of reprofile that edge. I'm putting very little pressure on the blade, just letting the stone cut. One more time back here at the heel. This is a #1 stainless, so I'm not exactly sure. I'm not anticipating it being very hard, but I don't want to over getting back there by that weird plunge. Get my grip pattern going. And check for a burr. No burr. That clamp is keeping the blade at a fixed angle, and then I am able to keep a precise angle, and I'm going from heel to tip just to keep my grip pattern the same way. I'm wanting it all to run forward. I'm wanting to get a little bit of a burr. Let me look at that back. That's going to be a little weird. I've even got a jeweler's loop. If I needed to go in there and look at that, I could, to make sure my grip pattern was running the way I want it. But I think I've got that determined. I always find that the tip, I went off the tip that last time. You want to be careful and not do that, especially on your later stones. I usually try to split that tip, but I find that I have to make a little bit more work on my tips and my heels to get my apex consistent. What I'll probably do is pause this and come back as we flip it. Alright guys, we got a little fuzzy burr there. We're going to flip it over. You can see that fuzz there. It's not burring up and what I would consider solidish, like a wire burr. It's more of a feathered burr, and that could just be the art of this particular stainless. So we're still on our first stone, still maintaining that heel to tip motion with our stone to keep our grip pattern consistent. And that kind of as a finger guide for that tip. But yeah, it is probably a boring watch to watch a knife get sharpened, but it is a very easy, controlled process using a fixed angle system. And for me, the TSPROF, first the Blitz system, that was the first system I experienced, and then this Pioneer, which they were nice enough to send me to check out. I have really enjoyed it. I'm actually using their diamond plates not my Veneve 4-inch bonded diamonds. It's also got a height adjustment attachment to make dialing in that 19 degrees a little easier. And the axis cube takes a lot of the guesswork out of what angle I want to set, right? A lot of times I don't use the axis cube, I just use a Sharpie and I try to mark that bevel and match it if I don't know. But in this case, we knew that we wanted a 19 degree bevel. So why not just set it to 19 degrees and be done with it? Let's see what our edge looks like. I use a little loop just to see how my pattern's running. See if I've maintained a consistent burr. It's a little furrier. I'm gonna give it a couple more passes. I'm gonna switch stones. Oh, it does. We are about to flip this. This is a very soft stainless steel. I'm not see what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna cut a couple more times with this stone. Not a lot, because I don't want to take off too much steel. Just a couple of passes before I switch to my, in case my apex is not as sharp as I get on super steels, where I can actually feel it. I can see the burr. Sorry for the silent video. As we work through this knife, alright, we're going to flip it, do a couple passes on the other side, then we're going to go through our stone progression and see what we're left with. I hit it all one direction out of the gate just to kind of roll that burr over. If there was more of a visible burr. I don't know if you can see that fine feathering, which is the way some softer steels won't wire burr up, at least in my experience. Y'all can leave in the comments how it does for you or it doesn't for you. But needless to say, we are going to switch stones here in just 1 second, and that's very easy to do. Let's see what we got there. Work that tip a little bit. Letting it stay on the same axis. Keep the same grip pattern. And remember, our heel back here is funky, so I'm not getting too close to that wide plunge since we've lowered our angle some. I don't want it to look too funky. Alright guys, so what we were going to do now, I will clean these stones after the fact. We are going to get a little more alcohol. Do a little wipey. Flip the knife, which you do right there with that trigger. Keeps it very, very easy. Get our next stone, which that was an F150. This is a 220. So we will put our 220 in our stone holder here. I just pull back on the knob, lock that in place. I like to center it up the best I can. And then we go to work. This is also a coarse diamond stone, but it is going to flip that burr to the other side and further refine our edge. Try to make this a little faster work. And again, I just use my finger as a guide to not roll that tip. The stone rolls around a little bit just by the nature of the drop point. Alright guys. Take our next side, go and heel the tip again. Again, still a very coarse stone, but my intention is to just clean that bevel up, flip that burr, and further refine that edge. You can clamp these systems down if you're getting any movement. The movement that I'm getting is from this little janky table that I film on. That's why I'm trying to just let the weight of the stone and the guide rod do all the work. So I'm not changing my angle. Alright. Let's get our next stone, which is going to be the 400, and I just go to the 6 and then I hone with it because I want to keep a working edge on this guy. I want it to be kind of toothy. So now I'm going to take my 400 medium and do the same thing. I know it's boring. Just let it pass along that grid angle. Heel to tip in my case. And just further cleaning up that edge. So this knife will cut good. That is the goal when sharpening a knife, is will it cut good? So I just give it a few equal passes, and then we'll use our handy dandy blade spinner. You can really see, I don't know if you can see it there, but you can really see that soft steel feathering out. So we are at an apex. I just don't know to what extent are we going to be able to, on this pass, get it as sharp as we want it. I'm thinking we should be able to get it pretty dang sharp. So now I'm just on the back edge, letting that stone go from heel to tip, with slight following the radius. Just cleaning up that edge. Alright guys, now we're going to progress to our next stone, which is going to be our 600, and it's also going to be the stone I am going to try to hone with, so I can take it straight from this stone to a strop. And this is an F600. This is not a 600 grit. This is probably closer to 1,000 grit if you're looking at a traditional grit system. So again, I'm looking just to really hone that edge up. Smooth it up. That's what I'm using this 600 for, is to hone it more than sharpen it. I'm just getting both sides. Whoops. Trying to not leave, and I'm afraid it's going to leave a little fuzz, just because of the nature of the metal that we're sharpening. Couple passes, final passes. Give it one pass here. All right. Now, let's see how we did on film. I've got a feeling we've still got some work to do, but we got a strop. Let's get that. Got a killer El Cap Addict strap. All right. Take our, I've also got a strap for the TSPROF, but I didn't set my, it's a little bit thinner, so I've got to do a little adjustment on the, just hand strap it. This is a 1 micron stroppy stuff. All right, let's see what we got. I want to cut the TSPROF. Whoops. Cut it here. Much sharper than it was. And I'll work on it a little more, but it was definitely not cutting. So we have gotten it to where it will slice. Very nice. So there we go, guys. That is a little quick run through on the TSPROF Pioneer, sharpening this little Canada profile. Cool knife. Been used a lot. Very sharp. Great sheath. But yeah, guys, appreciate you checking it out. Do me a favor, if you're so inclined and you haven't had a chance yet, hit that like button, but most importantly, look out for the guy or gal to your left. Look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. Go forward with love in your hearts. And always choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.